Hi, everybody. This is day 1000, I believe. Let me make sure everything is okay. We are on September 22nd, 2025, and make sure everything is working. Yeah, 1,878 days since Richard was forcibly removed from his barracks room and his life was taken brutally. And that was after months of continuous and severe retaliation that amounted to torture. Okay. And I'm not just saying that, it is absolutely amounts to torture for no good reason, for no reason, and they were getting upset with us for really asking, like, why were you doing this to him? I mean, you're his command, right? His life is entrusted to your command, and why are you weaponizing the UCMJ? Why are you abusing your power? Why are you retaliating against Richard? Severely, I mean severely and continuously, which amounts to torture. It was so bad. Um, it, you know, and I'm all for having a tough military and everything, but this was absolutely retaliatory. This was absolutely abuse of power. This was absolutely weaponizing the UCMJ. And we have motive now, right? We have motive because of their criminal trafficking that they were doing on base. And contracts, a lot of contracts, and that's coming in clearer and clearer with the really with the investigation. And make sure that I'm on now and everyone can hear. I get ahead of myself because there's so much information. Clearer and clearer. With our investigation, well, really, the investigation into Sylvia Brunda Firth, which, I didn't plan on talking about her today, but that, it's like when you open her case, you're opening a huge can of worms because of all of her conflicts of interest and her history. It's just really amazing. She is really a linchpin in all of this, like Nadal Baim, the Palestinian arms dealer who in October of 2020 walked into a Dollar General and told the cashier that the FBI had found uh, our son's remains partially in different locations in Juarez, Mexico, that he was dead and that um, he had been dismembered, right? This is the only explanation for all these partial remains in different locations. Um, and we went and got that CCTV footage. We got the witness statement from the cashier less than an hour after he went in there. And we turned that into the FBI. And of course, now we know of Jesus Nieto Jr. We also know of really the assistant FBI agent in charge, Connell Witten, and his loyalty not to the United States, not to the FBI, but to his Mormon faction, which is, of course, headed by Woody Hunt there in El Paso. This is a already confirmed that Woody Hunt is the Mormon faction there, and that he is so up to no good, um, and is really, I guess, the big fish that really has hurt El Paso. Really has hurt El Paso and that whole area. Really evil stuff. I mean, we're talking about the worst type of crimes against children, and that's not even the lowest denominator in the crimes that they're committing. It is, uh, because whatever happens in El Paso is worse in and Juarez. They are Siamese sister cities, and Juarez gets the worst end of the stick on that one. That's why the Plenitude Crematorium was on the Mexico side. It was so low. They opened the doors. They've been doing this for years, and just in opening the doors one time because of the stink of it all, the stink of it, the stench of it all, over 400 rotting bodies with rats eating through them. That they were trafficking, that they were recycling, um, and had committed fraud against the families, giving them like ground rocks in urns, saying that their loved one had been cremated, when in reality their loved one was being recycled, for fraud, for humanitarian aid of unidentified migrants. And this owner has, millions of dollars worth of property and businesses in El Paso. And one house, a real fancy house, and I'm not against fancy houses, but when you're doing this illegally, when you're doing it through trafficking, when you're making your money through the worst type of crimes against against a community, against a country, against society, then know that I'm not in favor of anything that you have. It all needs to be taken away. And one of his houses was right next to Beto O'Rourke. Beto O'Rourke, like Beto O'Rourke doesn't know who his neighbor is. I don't buy that. And so what, you know, contact Kash Patel. Oh, absolutely. Well, we are in contact with Kash Patel, and that's why I wanted to talk today about Kash Patel. So thank you so much, John, for coming on. And I really didn't mean to talk about Sylvia Brunda Firth, because she is really, you can't be on the El Paso Community Foundation's board and um, then be on the State Commission of Judicial Conduct's board, having control over El Paso matters and other media on top of that, and have her connection. The conflicts of interest um, are so big in this, and to go to cover for unethical, compromised judges, clearly compromised judges, and is harming the Walmart mass shooting case, harming our son's case. It's just very telling, very unethical, and yeah. Anybody that's a whistleblower, she will absolutely go after. But when it comes to the true crime, she'll cover for that when it's her her group's crime, right? So I understand your grief and your level of dedication. You're right. The war begins with the prosecution of the cartels and with the Mormon faction. Okay, the Mormon faction are intertwined very tightly with the cartels. Okay, now that's not me. That's not what I wanted. That's not what I was looking for. That is what evidence confirms. And so, what I really want to talk about today is law enforcement, is Kash Patel. He is being um, uh, targeted in the news by the media, which tells you something. It tells you he's doing a good job. That's what it tells you, because the media is. Uh, they are not for the public good. You're talking about the likes of like Bob Moore, with being directed by the likes of Sylvia Brunda Firth, acting for the likes of Woody Hunt. Okay, and you know them by their fruit. You have so much criminal trafficking. You have so much deaths. Look, there are way over 700 executions for this year alone, just in Juarez, just in the city of Juarez. You think we have problems here in Chicago, and in Memphis, and that is low compared to what's going on in Juarez. And Woody Hunt has a direct hand over all of that crime, right? With the cartels allowing, if he, being a billionaire, having those kind of resources, he could make a total paradise out of El Paso. El Paso is an ancient city, and without these water Nazi people, you get the flowing water going. Uh, El Paso and Juarez is absolutely ancient city. That's why there's so many tunnels everywhere. And it would just be absolutely paradise, and everybody knows that. I lived in El Paso practically my whole youth, and yeah, it's just a beautiful, beautiful place there. But under the crime of Woody Hunt, look at what's happened. The cartel have absolutely infiltrated the people of El Paso. Their votes have been disenfranchised. The criminal law magistrate court doesn't have one judge since 2015 that has been voted in, which is required by the Texas Constitution, because the criminal law magistrate court in El Paso has full jurisdiction. Since then, all of those judges need to be voted in, but the voters have been disenfranchised. Not one of them. They're all appointed. That's crazy. And the leaders know it. The people of El Paso might not know, because they depend on the leaders to make sure that their rights are secured. But no, they've been disenfranchised. They have an illegal H1B, and violated that medical examiner, who's a judge. Okay, medical examiners are a judge because they determine the cause and manner of death. They have powers just like a judge, and so they need to be absolutely an American citizen. And they need, they get almost $500,000 a year wages. So that tells you they need to be a lawyer, like a judge, and a medical doctor. Okay, it is a big, big job. And Mario Raskin Ortiz is illegal. He's illegal and he's not qualified, and he's really messed things up really, really bad for years and years, for years and years. And so Woody Hunt absolutely knows that. Woody Hunt, this is his business to know that. It is all politics. Of course, the DA's office is also in shambles. The right now, the legal DA, the holdover DA, even though she might have resigned and with a big problem, right? With a big problem. Um, uh, Yvonne Rosales really is the last uh, duly elected and installed district attorney. Both Bill Hicks and Montoya, Mr. 2028 stamp, are frauds, are absolutely rogue DAs. So, and don't forget that Mr. 2028 stamp, James Bonneau Montoya, is good school buddies with Anthony Acuna. Anthony Acuna, the El Paso ISD police officer that shot and killed the hero, the absolute decorated hero of the Poison Ponds operation, Julio Cordero. Okay. So, and they wouldn't release that name. It was really um, our good teamwork. We're releasing that to the public because none of the media, they're acting like the whole thing with Mayelas. Remember with the Walmart mass shooting, they never reported on the Mayella family, El Paso Mayella family, the big influenced family that were Patrick Crucius's family right here in El Paso, that totally debunked the whole narrative of, oh, this was just random. He just chose it randomly. No, no, no. He had family members in the federal courthouse, managing the federal courthouse. He had a member in the DA's office with Jaime Esparza. Patrick Crucius had a member in the FBI office, right? In the FBI. He had a member in the Walmart cybersecurity, where, that's why we don't have all the videos, right? So we've been reporting on all of that. The media did not cover that, right, and allowed a false narrative. We know the whole Walmart mass shooting was orchestrated. The narrative was orchestrated. The target of that was President Trump. They put together that false narrative to target President Trump, to disenfranchise the El Paso voters again for the 2020 election. And so absolutely. Let me read what John Judd is saying here. Or Don Bongino, yes. Is this live? Can you read my comments? I can. I understand your grief. Yes. It's never going to happen in El Paso because all local government is paid off. Well, no, things are happening federally, okay? So you're right. The local government is really messed up. I mean, you have the chief of police of the El Paso ISD being Manny Chavira. Totally cartel. And he wasn't even qualified for that position. He didn't even have a peace officer's license. And he didn't even have the respect of his officers. There was all this chaos because he got appointed just days after the Walmart mass shooting. So, yeah, you're right. There is a huge problem there in El Paso, but federally. And now we have a new sheriff in town, and his name is President Donald J. Trump. And he runs Fort Bliss. Fort Bliss is now, they just put in a big camp, staging ground. I call it a staging ground because we got the 2 letters from President Trump, and the first letter was absolutely how he's going to get accountability, his plan for accountability. The second one was about our son. So, this is absolutely about designating the cartels a T, I don't think I'm allowed to say it, T organization, you know what I mean. This puts a lot of the cases, puts the cases in the federal jurisdiction. And now President Trump, after the Charlie Kirk assassination, and I don't know if I'm allowed to say that word, has said that he is absolutely going to designate the Antifa as a major big T organization also. This is huge, absolutely huge news. It changes everything, and every day it is more and more favorable to us, and bringing up a claim, and that is what is going to change things. And you see that, I think, by Michael Gonzales's reaction to us. you know, uh, it takes a while. This has been 5 years, right, to put faces to names and everything. And we have mountains of evidence, and to find out, because we were looking for something else. We were looking for something else in our evidence, but to find Michael Gonzales' picture in a group right next to Amber Chase Amber Chase, the witch of the dark arts. I mean, really, she's into some really freaky cultish stuff. Okay, really some really freaky, sexy, sexual, illegal, culty stuff. I mean, it's bad. It's really bad. Uh, should I say illegal? Is she into illegal things? Yeah, she's into illegal things. Okay. Um, yeah, so it's pretty bad. And for Michael Gonzales, okay, we know that Amber Chase, and you all know because we've told everybody, was mortuary affairs, right, in the military, and um, then she became, I guess, a disabled veteran. Yeah, that's always, and then went to work for El Paso ISD. Well, you know, Michael Gonzalez was at the sheriff's office for years. He is, and I didn't know this yesterday, I know it today, um, that he is very big in the FTO, I guess that's the, no, I think it's some kind of police fraternal order, a police fraternal order. This is really big, right? This is really big. Um, and then to go to work for El Paso ISD, right? And then in 2021 to have his face in this little small group, four people, right? Four people, we know who they are. Four people. Um, uh, to uh to go after us, right? To target us? Really? It's not like this group was so big, he didn't know that they were targeting us. He absolutely knew that they were targeting us because he saw it as big as Dallas in there. He saw it as big as Dallas. Oh, and the picture was of Dallas, right? The picture was of Dallas Hart, the first lieutenant, the prime suspect in the murder of our son, and Richard's platoon leader. He saw that. He knew. He knows who he were. Alpa. Do they not know each other? Amber Chase. I mean, they're in the same group together, and they work at El Paso ISD, right? So, okay, fine, fine. Maybe okay, it was whatever. And he wrote me today. Today was a busy day because it's the Lord's day. Um, every day is a busy day, but tonight it was. What what do we want from Michael Gonzalez? Well, we want him to do his duty. We don't want any more from him. We don't want to hear about his accolades. We don't want to hear about, his Christianity. We don't care if he is a Christian or Jewish or um, Muslim or whatever. We don't care what his faith is, right? I mean, it's nice um, that he shared that with us, but we don't. He is an El Paso ISD police officer. He was running to be sheriff of El Paso. He has a duty to El Paso, to our son. And Amber Chase is not just, just an average despicable person. She's not. She threatens. She harasses endlessly. She interferes with the case. She's a she's a suspect in our son's murder case. It's not like she's just nobody. okay, or just some kind of low life. No, she is absolutely part of this group. And for him to be in that group, that's what we want, answers. We want answers of why was he in that group and more, because that wasn't the only screenshot, right? That wasn't the only screenshot we have. Um, why was he in that group in that screenshot? And he has a lot of explaining to do. And we thought, what do we want from him? Well, if he doesn't know his duty, we don't want the ear tickling. Oh, I'm this and I'm this and I was in this and I was in this. We don't care. We don't care if you've been one day in the El Paso ISD. One day is long enough for you to know to do your duty. To do your duty. And your duty is justice. Your duty is to get the bad guy. And Amber Chase is the bad guy. Leilani Hart is the bad guy. And there's many more. And he needs to report them right away. He needs to hand over his phone with every text message that he has from them, all of his group discussions. He needs to do that. If he needs to go and talk to the feds right now. He needs to call up Agent Torres, Agent Morales, Agent Connell. Connell. He needs to call them up and he needs to report everything that he knows about this criminal group he was part of. Because we know it's a lot. Because we have a lot. Because they do a lot. They do a lot of criminal stuff. And I hope that they're not part of his order, right? Or whatever. Because they like to join groups too. They like to infiltrate. It's a lot of deception. And from what he was telling us, it was very vague. There's so much deception, and they'll try to put on this uniform. They'll try to put on the stars. They'll try to put on this image. It's a playbook we know too well. And like act like they're helping us, but they're really doing reconnaissance, right? They're like spies. Counterintelligence comes to mind. Counterintelligence. They want to know what we have. And we know that too well because we've been through this for 5 years. And, so we're tired of the words, the ear tickling words and all of this accolades. I don't care, what you've done in the past, except for I know that you haven't done anything for our son's case, right? Matter of fact, if you were with that group, you probably are implicated in things that are hurting Richard's case. And keeping silence is not good. And now with the new designations that President Trump is coming out with, that that puts him in a very bad position. He better, our suggested list that we just posted, where he can report them, he can hand over his phone, he can publicly call them out, he could step aside from the case if he was ever in it, explain the silence of not getting our son's case out there, and all the other evidence that we have put out there, because now he knows. Now he knows where we're at. Now he can go through the site and he could absolutely put out everything about the Walmart case, who shot Maria, who shot Alexander, who shot the Anchandos, Patrick Crucius being blind, Patrick Crucius being autistic, Patrick Crucius having no training at all, absolutely no way could he have done it. All the lies and having all the family in all of these very key positions during this time. No forensics for over 3 years. No forensics report out for 3 years. Why isn't he stomping the ground for that? We're talking about the worst crimes in El Paso history and all of this trafficking and absolutely connected to this group that he was in a little 4-person group with that were absolutely threatening our family, um, or threatening our dead son because they work in the dark arts and they're witches or they're so low. The bottom is never um, low enough for them, right? So, yeah, it's I think that Michael Gonzales wanting to be sheriff, right? Wanting to be a sheriff, and he lost that one. Okay. But what that tells you is that he is very active in the community. Are you telling me he didn't know about our son's case? He absolutely did. He was in that group and he needs to explain himself and not explain himself with I uh I, I went to this college or whatever. I don't care. I don't care. I want him to do something. um Absolutely, we're in communication with the Supreme Court of Texas. um Who is Patrick Brookshire? Patrick Brookshire is a Texas Highway Patrol, right? Um, his family, his wife's family owns Dreams Cabaret. The Fong family, the Maya, uh, Mejia. Sorry, the Mejia. Takes me a minute. Um, the Mejia family. And Lilani Hart was getting her mail there. Um, Dreams Cabaret is that Mejia family is uh, also connected to Delia Briones, the county clerk. Patrick Brookshire really, you know, he stepped on it too. These, uh, the only explanation um, is that they've just been running with such impunity for so long, all of this crime, that they just, they're so used to being cold blooded. They are so cold blooded. I just can't even tell you how cold blooded they are. And that to me, least Michael Gonzales came back with some decency. He did. He did come back with some decency, um, which, means that he has some goodness in him, you know, and that's why we made the list for him, just to remind him, maybe he's been hypnotized by the evil. They're very good at their asymmetric warfare tactics, and they compromise you and hypnotize you. They do all that stuff. And don't tell me they don't, because I know that they do. We have evidence and evidence on it. We have a whole section in the military that was called asymmetric warfare unit. You know, they do it. Of course, they're going to do it. And they do it with the media, and they do it with um, Hollywood and all of that. The thing with our family is that we've been in Europe and we've been in Ireland. We've been working so hard on other things that and we didn't really have TV. We had a TV, but we just watched like CDs and stuff, good movies or whatever. Um, and um, and we, like Just Dance or whatever fun things, because we were doing so many other things that we didn't really. Uh, I guess God was keeping us from being hypnotized. And so when Richard got to Fort Bliss, he says, "Oh my gosh, they're criminal trafficking. They're doing the worst type of crimes against children. You can't do that." So he wasn't hypnotized, because it seems like so many are hypnotized or compromised. They're compromised and hypnotized, and they just don't think it's anything, right? Because where are all the whistleblowers? Hundreds of thousands of children trafficked through Fort Bliss. That's called the death camp. And what you have, uh, a beautiful. I mean, my son is beautiful. He's just absolutely beautiful. Um, but he's the only one standing up to them. He's the only one saying, "Hell no, you're not going to do this to children." You're not going to rob our military bases of fuel and ammunition and guns and everything. So our thing is, what they were shaking. We were there. We saw them. They were shaking. The soldiers were visibly mentally stressed, to put it nicely. And that means they were either compromised, or they were threatened. They were absolutely mentally stressed. They weren't in the right frame of mind to be courageous. They were just shaking like leaves, like leaves in the fall time. They were just shaking. They were scared as hell. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Some of them were crying. These are grown men. And the retaliation was something to cry about. The retaliation was like torture. It was torture. And for Richard, he stood in the breach. He stood in the breach, and he stood alone. And that's why they had to take his life, because he wasn't compromised, and he had the courage to write the reports, submit the reports. You demand, I don't know what you're talking about. You need a lawyer from out of town. We're covered. We're covered. Let's just say that. We're covered with the best. Um, private investigator. We're covered with that too. We're covered with that too. Um, you know what we need? We need the people. See, people don't understand how powerful they are. This is a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. We need the people. The people need to say no more. No more. But no, the excuses are, "Oh, nothing will ever change. Nothing will ever change." No, sorry, it's not good enough. Um, we have investigated. We have think about the stories we have broken from the Patrick Crucius uh, over and over, the whole Patsy thing, the whole thing about Patsy, about um, gosh, the whole Walmart case. There's so much we've uncovered in that Walmart case, so much we've uncovered in our son's case, so much that we've uncovered in the DA's office and the criminal law magistrate court and the medical examiners with Plenitude Crematorium with Bob Moore and the El Paso Community Foundation and the fraud that they were doing with the Walmart mass shooting victims funds, giving that to unauthorized individuals. That's like over $12 billion, and West Star Bank. And, um, the list of what we've uncovered that the owner of the Plenitude Crematorium, a major fraud connected to Purchase Funeral Homes, connected to Fort Bliss mortuary operations, and Tavita Nusa and his brother there, Solomon Nusa of mortuary operations. Um, we could go on and on. The whole Nadal Baim, the Palestinian arms dealer with Western Frontier Trading, you know, and all his connections through that LLC, and in that area where the Dollar General store is and everything. Um, y- you know, it's just goes on and on with the Santa Teresa jet port, all of the things that we've exposed there now with Sylvia Barunda Firth. So, no, that we are absolutely moving this forward. We have absolutely delivered results. We received the declaration of death, then we received the declaration of in the line of duty. Then we received not one, but two letters from President Trump. And the absolute, uh, from President Trump, think about it, because he doesn't do it easily, to take a soldier like Richard and absolutely pour praise on Richard, right? When Richard is in this in the middle of this cartel funeral home political. This is Beto O'Rourke, this is Mauro Campos, this is Representative Veronica Escobar, this is Ted Cruz, this is Governor Abbott. And I really should talk about Governor Abbott because, he's in a world of trouble. He's in a world of trouble. And you can say, oh, is this about Democrat? This is Republican. No, this is about compromised, um, compromised criminal activity. And Governor Abbott's in a world of hurt, a world of hurt. um, in this. So, um, and then of course, um, Michael Gonzales, this retired sheriff that's an El Paso ISD officer, and friends with Amber Chase, Amber Chase and Lalani Hart. I mean, can you believe it? It's like gag me with a spoon, that someone like that. I mean, it's just clear. He really needs to explain himself on that one because it's really hard to get past that for us. Okay, that's really hard to get past that he's friends with the suspects of the murder of our son, right? Um, yeah, so we've been moving he absolutely needs to do more. He needs to do more. I don't think he's done what we've done in his 30 years. I don't know. I would like to hear what he's done for the Walmart case and Richard's case and other cases surrounding this. I would like to hear, yeah, especially the El Paso ISD case with Julio Cordero. What did he do with that, right? What did he do with that? That's a really, that case is getting bigger and bigger and intertwined with our son's case. So, let's hear that. If he's El Paso ISD, what did he do with the Manny Chavira case? That was a big case, because you have an unqualified individual being appointed as the chief of police. This is a big problem, right? So you got to have merit. You got to make sure you have the qualifications met. He didn't have it. Why did he get the job? So that took the job away from someone that did have the qualifications. So let's read some more. I love, oh yeah, we expose a honey trap. Thank you, Laura. I mean, the whole thing with Gustavo Sanchez and the DPS director, Mr. Frisky Business with his honey trap. We exposed that. Um, exactly. That's why they haven't called me in 3 weeks. You're job hunting, yeah. Um, Yeah, it is. Oh, the tunnels. We exposed the tunnels. That is confirmed that the tunnels are under the school. We exposed that they were getting Mexican children with fancy buses over in Juarez and bringing them to the Paso schools to go to school, to go to school, and then busing them back home, right? Keeping those schools full. And of course, and then, of course, with everything with Fort Bliss. The whole Nadal Baim thing is absolutely stunning that they lied to us about that, right? That just shows you they were absolutely in cover up mode. So really, I think that Kash Patel, he is working with the Connell Wittens, right? Those that are compromised inside. Connell Witten is so compromised, and his loyalty is not to the FBI or the United States. His loyalty is to his Mormon faction, and that's why you don't see Leilani Hart um, um, put in handcuffs, because she absolutely needs to be put in handcuffs. But because she's part of the Mormon faction with him, he's protecting her. Um, exactly. So Kash Patel is working with individuals like that. He has to really clean out the FBI. It, he has to figure out who's who, right? Who's who. And so there are a lot of bad actors. And in Richard's case, there were so many bad actors. So, of course, in the Charlie Kirk case, there's so many bad actors. And they're number one. I think what they're trying to do by reading the articles is to sabotage Kash Patel. They're trying to make him look bad, but he knows what he's up against, and he's absolutely not being diverted from what his mission is, and that is to getting to the bottom of what group. And of course, it's this Mormon faction group that is political. That's behind um, the death of Charlie Kirk. There's no doubt in my mind. It's the same ties, the same peer ties to El Paso of this Mormon faction group. And you can tell because of the sex cult background to it all. Um, and of course, they'll do anything to keep that border open. This has everything to do with keeping that border open. And they know as long as President Trump is in that office, that he is going to want a secure border, that he's going to want a secure border, and he wants a real economy, not economy based on criminal trafficking, right? Even though it's millions and billions and billions of dollars criminal trafficking, that doesn't make for a future, a healthy society, which means it's not going to last. And it is absolutely illegal for that reason. Otherwise it would be legal because, it's very, very big business, but because it's so suicidal, and I don't think I should have said that word right, but it's so damaging to a people that it's illegal. It's deemed illegal for a reason. It's not because people are trying to be mean, right? It's deemed illegal because it's so, so dangerous. And, um, and you can't base your economy off of something that is so self destructing, right? So, and President Trump is trying to let everyone know that. We need to have a manufacturing economy where we produce something and that we have cheap energy and um, lots of information and we absolutely have factories that produce something. That's how you make a thriving future, and for the last decades, for them to slowly get rid of that, you have more and more people moving into the cartel and sex cult business, right? And so then you have all the criminal activity to cover um, the crimes, right? And then you have the infiltration in the law enforcement and the judicial system and the oversight of the judicial system to cover up the crime so that they could do the crime with impunity. It's because of the destruction of a real economy that this grows and becomes so dominant. And then once people are in on it, then they can't really whistleblow. So it's just a mess. It's really a mess. And so to get out of it, you have to grow a decent economy, right? You have to have a manufacturing productive economy to grow out of this criminal trafficking mess that we're in and give people a good standard of life, right? You want everyone to have a good standard of life and living. So, is like the Babel Tower, yeah. The community are the cartel affiliate. Yeah. But a lot of people in Juarez, they have no choice. And I'm not trying to make excuses for them, but they have like no choice. The economy is so bad that they join the cartel just to survive, right? So this is what I'm saying. The economy is so important. You can't have the debt. You have to have manufacturing. You have to have a vibrant economy to fight the criminal economy that's so destructive. So and if you're going to have individuals like Michael Gonzales try to fight these crimes, but all he's doing is giving himself self accolades, trying to convince you with like hypnosis or something that he's really a good person, that he is fighting crime, but he doesn't even fight crime, right? Otherwise, he would be doing at least a third of the things that are on this list that we now published. So, yes, yes, absolutely. So, yeah, um, I know so many are living it. And when I would go over, probably 3 dozen times or more over to Juarez when we were there, I had people crying. This is during the whole lockdown thing, and I didn't. I just ignored it. I said, who cares? I don't care. I don't care. I just don't care. I'm looking for my son and I don't care. And people were crying on me, everything. I didn't turn them down. I didn't put any kind of hand sanitizer in. I just used regular soap and water and hugged them back and cried with them back. And if our tears met, good, good. Because that's the spirit, right? That's the spirit of the people. And they were trying to take the spirit of the people away and trying to divide us. And absolutely cry with these people that lost their children, lost their brother, lost their sister, lost their mother, father, whatever, and were living in a real hellhole because of of just the whole lockdown, closing down the economy over there. I mean, it was just the cruelest thing, driving young women into the industries that are just horrible, absolutely horrible. So, yeah, if Michael Gonzales really wanted to do something, then he could easily pick a few things off of that list and get busy and get busy. He has the know-how. He has the ability. Um, yeah, he's very, very knowledgeable um, in in these cases and in knowing what to do, and he could absolutely do it. So anyway, so thank you so much, everyone, and I just want to really put some kudos in for Kash Patel because he's doing an awesome job. There's a lot of questions about uh, uh, who did it in the Charlie Kirk case. And so that's all coming out. We know that Twiggs, right? Lance Twiggs, the uh, the Mormon person of interest in all of this, with Tyler Robinson living together. They're peers of, I mean, you're talking about $1 million family, all right? You're talking about a person that has, a family that owns a house for $2 million or more, um, multiple properties, sorry, for millions of dollars. Um, they're peers of Woody Hunt, okay? Um, and being involved in this kind of activity. And then now, not even being loyal to Tyler Robinson. The word is out that there were, multiple partners. And so I think Cash Patel, he's going to get to the bottom of this. If we can do it with the little resources that we have, he has big resources, but he has a lot of internal, mutineers inside there, and people that want to target him. So we understand that. We've lived through it. We are absolutely supporting him in what he's doing. And I think that Michael Gonzalez needs to contact probably Agent Morales, right? And do some reporting himself. He can do it. He can do it. He knows how. So thank you so much. God bless you. And I will be back tomorrow, God willing.